Tuesday. First thing, since you had 24 hours to digest how things concluded, what stands out for each of you in your minds in terms of your takeaway from the series, and again how the season came to a close?
I mean, I guess I'll go first. It hurts. It should hurt, but life moves on. Nobody's feeling sorry for the Nets, and we're not feeling sorry for ourselves. So that's pro sports. So the good thing is for us is, we're going to be busy with the combine, we're going to be busy with the draft process, and we're going to manage the offboarding of this team and of the season, that's the difficult part of it all, which we've just talked to the players and so forth. So that's the initial thought for us right now.
Want me to jump in? Yeah, I mean, it's tough, really tough. We're so close to advancing. You on the one hand, there's a disappointment and pain to not continue and to not go all the way as we set out to do. At the same time, look at all the adversity we faced, and then our team gave it absolutely everything they have. So we told the players, just how proud we are of the way they approached the season, the work they put in, the way they were able to overcome a lot of things and put us in a position to continue to play. And, it didn't go our way this time, but we'll take some of this with us and it'll make us stronger. And we'll approach that next season with this, in our toolbox, and it'll, I think, grow our character and resolve.
Bruce Beck, NBC New York.
Sean and Steve, Albert Einstein said failure is success in progress. Was this season disappointment, frustration, or failure in your mind?
I don't look at it as failure. I think the term failure can be used in a completely different array of circumstances, far more serious than what we just went through. Is it disappointment? Yes, without a doubt. We're going to own it. We're going to grow from it, as Steve mentioned, and we'll be better because of this, and we'll progress through this, and we'll learn from the roller coaster ride that was this last season. But I don't look at this as failure. I think we all grew as people, as individuals, and as a collective unit here, and we're definitely going to come out with the resolve and the resiliency to attack next season and achieve our goals.
Greg Logan, Newsday.
Sean, there was one team this year that changed their trainer because of injuries and things like that. I'm just wondering, when you look at the injury situation, do you just regard that as things that were unavoidable and that you had to deal with? Or is there something proactively that can be done to try and prevent these injuries next year and get to next year completely healthy so that this team can perform at its optimum level?
Yeah, great question, Greg. I think you have to be very careful in the circumstances that we dealt with this year. No team has ever been through this before, and you hope that next season looks vastly different from the protocols that were, in place from COVID and so forth. So I don't want to be too quick to judge, anybody and there's no rash decisions. We've never made rash decisions, in 5 years since we've been here. So, it'll be a good opportunity for us all to have honest conversations. We'll debrief on it. I could not be prouder of not only what the performance team did, but all staff did here and the sacrifices that they made on an individual level, just for us to have this opportunity. So, I think it's a big off season for our players and the performance team to, we know we've got guys coming back and we've got to get them healthy. And the objective here is to go into next season, with the right habits, having worked this off season, obviously taking some time away, but, gone in with a different mindset of, how are we going to attack 82 games? And hopefully it's 82 games in a regular season format, not a condensed version, a proper training camp and so forth, and many of those decisions.
Malika Andrews, ESPN.
Hey, Sean, I'm just wondering, when you're looking at this offseason, what part of the rosters do you think, is there any specific roster spot you feel like you need to address, or a need that you have as you're evaluating your free agents who you want to bring back? How are you starting to process that?
Yeah, well, no, it's a question that we'll hopefully answer over the course of the next, really month and a half. We'll look at every position on the roster like we always do. We'll gather input. Steve and I will gather input from the rest of the coaching staff, from players, obviously our scouts and analytics and all the different departments and so forth. But inevitably, there's going to be change here. That's the tough thing with pro sports. You'd love continuity throughout and so forth, but there's going to have to be changes, and they may not all be because of a decision that we decide to make. Our players have to make these decisions too. We've got multiple players that have, whether it's options on their contracts, whether their free agent status is up, and so forth. So they're going to have decisions to make just alongside us, and we'll come together as a collective group. And again, the opportunity for them and the opportunity for us is to go out there and put the best Brooklyn Nets team forward to start training camp next season.
Thank you.
Tom Dowd, BrooklynNets.com.
Yeah, this is for Steve. Steve, I'm just curious. You can kind of sum up this first year of your coaching career and any particular lessons you took from it that you want to bring into next year as you kind of gear up to go through it again.
Yeah, it was an incredible experience. I had the pleasure of working with some amazing people. The players, first and foremost, were outstanding with their effort and attitude. The way they work together to find solutions to all the things we face this year, but just the organization as a whole, all the different departments, analytics, film, performance, front office, you go down the line, there's just high quality people in every department. So it was a blast to be a part of this team. And I can't wait to continue to grow and develop individually, but also collectively. So that's the thing as far as, what did I learn? What do I take away? A lot of that is going to come over the coming weeks and months where I have time to reflect and study kind of what happened and how I can adjust what I do, but how I can adjust what we do, what our approach is collectively. How can we, have a stronger imprint on our identity? So it's exciting to look at the opportunity to grow, to learn, to take all the things that I just experienced for the first time, that we experienced collectively for the first time, and kind of move it around, take different perspectives, beat it up, and get excited about how we can relaunch this thing next year in an even better position.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Sean. I guess happy Father's Day to both of you guys, but this question is for Sean. Obviously, if you don't have these injuries, you guys have a strong chance of winning everything, right? I think that's fair to say. But at the same time, you guys had some weaknesses as a team. Rebounding, obviously, defense took a while to come along, and then slow starts as well. How do you weigh those two things? You guys were very strong, obviously, as an offensive team. You guys had potential to win it all, but you also have these shortcomings that you have to, I would assume, fix for next season.
Sure. I don't think any team's ever perfect, right? You got to take some good with bad, and they don't always, there's a little bit of yin and yang involved here. So to me, that's a great opportunity for Steve and I and our collective staffs to sit down and go, as Steve mentioned, what's going to be our identity moving forward, and who's going to be a part of that? Where are some of the deficiencies that we want to try and make up? And then there's some obviously, areas where, we're pretty elite at. So how do we continue to grow them without, taking a back seat in other areas? So, again, I don't think that happens overnight. I think it's the course of, several weeks, a month of work. We've got to get through the draft first and foremost. We've got to get through free agency and see where it all plays out for us and stuff. But, I'll be honest, I'm extremely excited about, where this could go and where we honestly envision this going. But, going back to your first statement about the injuries, that's part of sports. So I don't ever want to use that as an excuse. Some of these things, they happen, and could we have done a better job in some areas? Potentially, yeah. But until we debrief and sit down and really focus on those, we're not totally going to know. And, we'll let it play out.
Brian Lewis, New York Post.
Hey, Happy Father's Day to both of you guys. This question's a little bit more for Sean. I'm curious if you guys had a stated goal of winning a title and you go out in the second round, do you think that could play a significant factor in the Big Three's decision, whether they want to sign any long-term extensions here or just let it ride? And I guess the other factor was Spencer, if he has indeed opted out, is a sign and trade a possibility?
Well, we'll do with Spencer when the time comes, and obviously Spencer's put himself in a position to secure his future long term. We'd obviously love to play a role in that, whether that's here or whether we can help him, but we'll focus on that at a later date. So, what was the first question then, Brian?
Big three.
Oh, the big three. It's probably too early to start, discussing what their futures are. Obviously, we're committed to them. I think, they play a big role in how we're going to continue to build this, how we're going to drive our culture and the identity of our team. And I think what you see out there is when they were healthy, that's a very, very elite unit. And I don't see any shortage of people wanting to play with them, people want to play alongside them, or them wanting to be a part of something here. Now it's going to be up to us to continue to make Brooklyn an environment where not only do they want to re-sign, but our free agents want to return to us, and future people think, hey, there's a heck of an opportunity for me there in Brooklyn to play alongside and play along with those high caliber players.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press.
Hey guys, since you did go out early enough, there is the opportunity now for guys who want to play the international basketball this summer to do it. You guys have a bunch of players in the USA pool. Do you know who wants to play, who doesn't want to play, and what your stance on it is after the injuries? Would you like guys to take time off if they want to play? Or I know you can't prevent it, but would you encourage them not to do it?
Yeah, again, that's a collective decision where we'll sit down with the player and also with the performance team and just sort of map out this is what it looks like, and USA will have some decisions to make as well, so with Pop and Jerry Colangelo and Sean Ford, they'll have decisions and they probably need answers relatively quickly here. So I think our guys have been through this enough to realize what's best for them, what's best for their body, and what their ultimate goal is. It's very difficult to turn down playing for your country and having the opportunity to go out there and having a heck of a summer and win an Olympic gold medal, which is their objective. So for them to be able to turn that down, they've got to look at the big picture and say, okay, well, am I not healthy and so forth. So for a couple of those guys, I know right now it's probably not the first thing they're thinking about. They're a little decompressing after the season, but it'll be a collective decision from all parties.
David Aldridge, The Athletic.
Hey guys, I got on a little late, so I apologize if you've been asked this before. But when you don't succeed in a very emotional series with high expectations for a season, how has your experience shown the best way not to overreact to a loss in terms of we got to make multiple changes, we have to do things differently, as opposed to we need to refine what's good here and keep what instead of making wholesale changes?
Well, I think just from a roster standpoint, then I can let Steve talk about from emotional and the coaching side of it. You just don't want to make rash decisions, David. The morning after, you often never, clarity isn't right there. So, let's let the dust settle. Let's take away some of the positives from this year, what they were, and let's be honest about, where our deficiencies were and, where the changes need to be made, from, a roster, whatever it may be. So we'll have those honest conversations, and we've already started to have them. But I think that comes over the course of the next, weeks to month, but let's not let emotion get in the way here, because as you're right, it was a very emotional series. Nobody likes to lose, nobody likes to go out when, to be quite frank, when we had the expectations we did.
Yeah, from my perspective, it's I don't know how much you can look at widespread changes when we really just want to make sure all our guys are available and healthy. it's hard to start talking about big adjustments or changes when, you didn't have the full complement of your team. So the emotional side of it, I think we got to take and use to our advantage and use the pain and the experience to galvanize the group and our culture and clearly identify how we want to move forward. So, right now, like Sean said, I think we study up on everything that's happened to us, all the experiences we've gained, the relationships we've built, and how can we improve upon it.
Ian O'Connor, New York Post.
For Sean, just following up on Brian's question about international play, there was a specific report about Kevin Durant committing to play in Tokyo. Just curious, based on his injury history, wear and tear, if he wanted to do that, would you be okay with that decision to go forward and play in the Olympics?
Yes, yeah. As long as several markers have been met, and that starts with us having a conversation with Kevin, what it looks like. But I think Kevin, as I said before, it's very difficult to turn down playing for your country. Having that opportunity is like none other. So, and I think Kevin knows this. Kevin knows that if his body feels right and if he's up for the task, what a great opportunity to go and play alongside a lot of his close friends and go and have a very, very unique experience.
Sopan Deb, New York Times.
This is a question for Coach Nash. Now that you've had a playoff run with fans in the seats, can you describe the difference in the arena atmosphere at Barclays for this playoff run and when you played here at the end of your career?
So you're really testing me on remembering the game I played here at the end of my career. I think I played once, and I couldn't recall in detail. But I'll say that the playoffs, having fans in the building here, was unbelievable. The energy, particularly in our home games in the second round. I would even say the first game against Boston was such a surprise to have fans in the building, to have that energy. And as we were continuing to put more people in their seats, it was incredible. So I really, really was proud of our fans and Brooklyn for supporting us the way they did. It made it a pleasure. I know all of our players and coaches were really excited by the energy in the building, and it made it really fun and exciting and enjoyable.
Back to Greg Logan.
I have one for each of you. First, for Steve, can you give me any sense you might have of what changes might occur within your coaching staff? That's one for you. And then for Sean, can you specifically address what you think the fate might be of free agents Blake Griffin, Jeff Green, and Bruce Brown, all of whom indicated how much they loved it here?
Clearly there could be changes on our staff. I mean, we have some incredible coaches, and they all are really worthy of being head coaches or already have been. And so it'll be I'm assuming we will have turnover. I'm assuming some of these guys will get jobs because they're that good and would really add a lot to an organization. So we're here to support them in that. If they move on, we want to make sure that they're in a place, in a position that they want to be in, and we'll try to get them there if we can help at all. And they afforded us a lot this year with the strength of our staff, and we would be in a position where we may have to replace a few, but that's something that is to be seen.
Yeah, Greg, regarding the free agents, Blake, Jeff, and Bruce that you specifically mentioned, it's about whether they spend a month here, whether they spend years here. It's always about giving the players everything they possibly can in order to have success on and off the court. So their families have success. It's an enjoyable experience, and they look back on their time and say, wow, it was, what a time I had with Brooklyn. What an opportunity. I developed, I grew, and so forth. So, I would hope that those three specifically look at this last year and say, wow, we fell short, but man, what a great experience I had there. I was around some pretty special people. I learned a lot, and I think you've already heard them in the media saying that their time here was special and they enjoyed it. So, but like us, they're going to have decisions to make, and I would love to say the continuity of our group, bring back the whole group. That'll be great. Let's go and see if we can stay healthy and go for it again. But I also know that's unrealistic at this juncture. So, for us, we're just going to have to continue to recruit and hope that these guys would like to come back. And if the moment is upon us, it'll be great. So we'll go from there.
Christian Winfield.
All right. Hey, guys, I also have one for each of you. I'll start with you, Sean. How do you evaluate a guy like Joe, who's obviously put in so much work he led the league in three-point percentage for the regular season, but then he shoots 24% from three in the final 4 or 5 games of the series. I asked him about that. He was obviously disappointed. And then he also said, he wasn't sure how his performance in the playoffs would impact his standing with the team moving forward. So can you just speak to how you evaluate Joe and whether you let that type of performance at the end of the playoffs dictate whether he can stay on the team long term or not?
Yeah. I think we have to be careful looking at what have you done for me lately? Joe has been a stronghold here for, the entire time I've been here, and I've watched him grow. We've watched him develop. He's a huge part of this culture and driving it. And, we owe a lot of that just to who Joe is as a person, both on and off the court, how he's developed, how he's sacrificed, the work that he's put in. So again, I guess, I would reiterate, yes, am I disappointed? For sure, but I cannot be more disappointed in Joe than he already is in himself. I know that, he's taking this tough and difficult and hard, and I know he'll be back to being Joe and shooting lights out that he always has been for us. And in terms of his future on the team, there's really no comment on that. I mean, Joe is the Brooklyn Net, and until otherwise, whether that's his decision or mine, we won't focus on that. But we 100% support Joe, and we'll be here for him. And I expect Joe to bounce back and be the elite 3-point shooter that he's shown for a long time.
Got it. And then for Steve, obviously as players, you can go into the offseason and work on different parts of your game and try to come back better the next year. I'm wondering what an offseason looks like for you as a coach. Do you evaluate yourself over the year, and how do you find different ways to maybe, quote unquote, add different things to your game as a coach moving forward?
Excuse me. Yeah, it's not that dissimilar to being a player. We're going to look back on the year and things that we did and how we performed and the decisions we made, the approach we took, and analyze it all and try to come back in a much better position. So it's very much like being a player. We're, as an organization, always looking to improve, always challenging, always asking questions. And that's no different for me, my staff. I'll definitely spend a lot of time with the film department, with the analytics department, and the front office this year. Even the performance team, players, just trying to continually ask the right questions and find answers and solutions for ways that we can get better. And so and that's exciting. I like that part of the process. I like, trying to be, as inquisitive and seeking as much kind of information or clarity as possible to make decisions. And sometimes it might just be one thing that is all that is needed. Sometimes it might be, 50 little things, but you have to be open-minded. You have to be inquisitive to try to find the answers. And then you start to decide which are relevant for moving forward with. So it's kind of a bigger process than being a player, in that there's so much more layers to it, but it's very similar in that you go take the summer and try to reflect on what happened and how can you revamp for next season.
Thank you both.
Justin Walters, Pix 11.
Hi, gentlemen. Sean, I have 2 for you regarding James Harden. What was your assessment that he was able to push himself back out there and practically play on one leg? And what was your trepidation level that possibly could do further damage to his hamstring by trying to give it his all and hopefully push you guys on to the next round?
I have incredible respect for what James did, but it's hard for us to really know how he's feeling the whole time, because he knows his body better than anybody else, and for him to be able to push through and play speaks volumes for the competitor that James is, and for him saying, "Hey, look, yes, I risk further injury, but I came here on a mission. I came here to accomplish something." So. an incredible amount of respect. I mean, he's going to have to work these next 3-4 weeks and hopefully get back and be healthy again. But admirable, and it's a risk that was well versed and well talked about between performance coaching and James. And it's tough to say no to a player of that caliber, to say, hey, look, you best need to sit out, or when Steve has to limit minutes and so forth. So it's very difficult. You've got to trust the player a lot when it comes to that, and it just showed what he's made of.
Last question, Bruce Beck.
Steve, you see a lot in sports, a team that loses a big series in the playoffs one year and comes back the next year and hits the high note. Do you think that could be the case here? Do you think that formula is real?
Absolutely. I think that's got to be our approach. We're very close amidst a lot of adversity, and if we can continue to refine and improve what we do, why can't we take this with us, grow, learn, and be back with even more resolve, more of an understanding of what it takes to win? So, that's definitely the silver lining is what we can take from this. What can we, add to our toolbox and to our collective kind of mentality and culture? And, I think we all feel heartbroken that we're not still playing, but at the same time, we all have a lot of positivity around what's capable here, what this group is able to accomplish, and all the path towards it is exciting. It's not daunting. I think everyone here is fired up to get back to work and try to build this thing back up and even stronger.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks to both of you guys.
Thank you.